Hello, and welcome to this week's Coronation Street Spoilers. Week commencing the 18th of September 2023. Summer hands Billy and Paul a Polaroid camera for their stag do and explains that phones are banned. Paul is thrilled. As they arrive at the bistro, Billy is taken aback by all the glitter and the rainbows, but Paul loves it. Gemma leads the drinking games and Billy starts to relax. The police call at number 7 and tell Bernie they'd like her to answer some questions regarding a potential fraud investigation involving Shelley. At the station, Bernie makes out she's simply helping a young woman with MND by collecting a few parcels for her. But the police have a shock revelation for Bernie that leaves Paul reeling. Meanwhile, Ed struggles when Neil, their site manager, suggests they bet on when the digger will turn up. In the Rovers, the lads gather to watch the match. When Neil suggests they have a flutter, Ed's sorely tempted. Elsewhere, at Dev's request, RD suggests to Courtney that she make a contribution to the household bills. Courtney's evasive. Also today, as Todd gets ready for work, George makes waspish remarks about rest easy. When Troy tells Todd that he has promised a client a service they can't deliver and he'd like him to break the bad news, Todd paints on a smile, secretly dreading it. Finally, Ryan receives a message from an Ovids subscriber offering to pay extra for a live video. Ed apologizes to Neil for snapping at him and explains that he used to be a gambling addict. In the solicitor's office, Dee Dee gets Ronnie to sign some forms and points out he's taking a risk starting work on the site before completion of the purchase. Ed notices the digger driver looks troubled and hurries over. Ronnie arrives at the building site to see Ed talking to a uniformed Craig. Ronnie peers into the hole, where the digger has unearthed a dead body. Meanwhile, Carla reminds a reluctant Ryan that he's due to start his first shift at Underworld. Ryan starts unpacking, but when he receives a message on his Ovids from a guy requesting a personal video, he nips to the loo to send some nude pics. However, when he receives a message back telling him only a live video will do, and they'll pay £500, Ryan makes a decision. Elsewhere, having confided in Todd, Paul implores him to keep stum about his assisted dying plan. When Todd admits that rest easy isn't for him, Mary urges him to talk to George. Todd goes to ask George for his old job back. Also today, as Steve goads Tim over his lack of fitness, Tim takes his revenge when Steve leaves his phone unattended. Finally, Stephen and Jenny are loved up as they return from Paris. A loved up Jenny tells Stephen it's time he moved into the pub. Stephen returns to work full of the joys, but his mood soon changes when he hears a body has been found on Ed and Ronnie's building site. Masking his inner turmoil, Stephen makes out he's got a migraine. Back at the pub, Stephen presses Ed for more details. When Ed confirms that it was definitely a man's body, Stephen's heart sinks. A uniformed Craig calls at the pub and breaks the news to Jenny that the body is that of Leo's. Jenny reels in shock. Is the game up for Stephen? Meanwhile, as Peter wonders what Ryan is going to do for money, he assures him that his fitness videos are really starting to pay off. The ante upped, a nervous Ryan agrees to a call where he talks dirty to the guy who messaged him. When Peter overhears, he tells Carla that it's no wonder Ryan spends so much time in his room as he heard him having phone sex. Daisy listens, unnerved, before confronting Ryan to ask what's going on. Elsewhere, Dee Dee breaks the news that the investor has pulled out of the building project. Ronnie reckons they should cut their losses, but Ed's adamant it's too late to pull out. Alone, Ed watches the horse racing, adrenaline pumping. Also today, relations are strained between Todd and George as it quickly becomes clear Lee is not cut out for the job, but neither wants to admit it. Finally, Paul goes over Shelley's funeral arrangements with George and explains he's written some words about her that he'd like placed with her body. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss next week's Coronation Street Spoilers.